Hello everybody. Welcome you all at Learning is Fun with Prajnaparamita. Today I am going to tell you some interesting facts about the modal verbs should, ought and must. I am going to tell you where to use them and what are the differences between them while using them in several situations. Let's see. Should and ought are the modal verbs which are used very similar and often they replace each other. For example, they ought to be more sensible, shouldn't they? And while we are talking about obligation, duty, advice, and right for the pupil to do or have done, we must use these two modal verbs like should and ought. For example, they or you should or ought to read novels by Virginia Woolf, or you should or ought to have seen his face, etc. Now, should and ought to are used to polite request while we are talking about repeat. Should and ought, we do not use these two modal verbs while we are talking about polite request. Instead of that, we can use could. For example, could you move your head a bit? I can't see. Here, we may not say you should or ought to move your head a bit, because while talking about polite request, instead of these two modal verbs, we must use could. And should and ought are both used to talk about logical probability. For example, I have bought 3 loaves, that should or ought to be enough. So when we are talking about logical probability, we use these two modal verbs. And another important and interesting point is that while using should, we do not use to, the preposition to, before the infinitive, but ought always followed by the preposition to. And here must have the similar meaning to should and ought. For example, here there are examples. When we are talking about strong and more confident and or more definite expression, we have to use must. But when we are talking about something or express something, something that is less confident, or we are talking about not more strong, then we have to use ought or should in a similar sense. For example, if we say, the doctor said you must give up smoking, that means it is an order and you must follow, or you are likely to be followed that order. But if we say, you really ought to give up smoking, that means this is a piece of advice and you may or may not be followed. And another example, Rob must be home by now. That means I am pretty sure, or I am sure that Rob must be at home, or Rob, where is Rob now? But the same thing, if I say Rob should be home by now, that means it is a probability or a prediction on part of myself that Rob may be or may not be at home, or may be at home, etc. Now, another more example for the same, that is, you should apologize. That means it would be great, or it would be a great idea that you should apologize. But if I say you must apologize, that means there is no way. You have to apologize, you have no other alternative. And should can be used as a weaker form of must. For example, the carpet must be clean. That means it is absolutely necessary. And if I say the carpet should be clean, that means it is a good idea to clean the carpet. So while talking about must, we might have some strong feeling, but should is used as a weaker form of must. Now, here should can be used instead of must to make orders and instructions sound more polite. We can use should instead of must for a polite sense or polite piece of advice or polite instruction, etc. For example, this form should be filled in black ink, or we can say application should be sent by 31st January. You should wear helmet while biking. So these are the examples. So while talking about some instruction or order in a polite way, you have to use should instead of must. Now, the difference between should or ought to and must, I am going to talking about that. Should and ought can be used for prediction, but must is not used in that way. For example, it should be fine tomorrow, but we never say it must be fine tomorrow. So while predicting something instead of must, we have to use should or ought to. Another example of the same is that should and ought to can be used perfect infinitives to talk about unfulfilled obligations in the past. While we are talking about unfulfilled obligation in the past, we must use should or ought to, but we never use must. For example, you should have been nicer to Annie, but we never say you must have to have been nicer to Annie. Now, I am talking about where or how we can use should. Should can be used in the following way while talking about advice or to give an opinion. For example, you look tired, you should go to bed, or government should do more to improve education. We often use should with I think, I don't think, do you think, etc. For example, I think the government should do more to improve education, or I don't think you should work so hard. And in case of several verbs like insist, recommend, suggest, demand, purpose, there also you have to use the modal should. For example, I insisted that he should apologize. What do you suggest you should do? We should do. It is important, vital, necessary, essential in that in any type of this sort of expression we have to use the modal should. For example, it is essential that everyone should be here on time, or should can be used after a number of adjectives. For example, strange, odd, funny, surprised, interesting, typical, natural, and surprising. With all these adjectives, you can use should with them. For example, it is strange that he should be late. He is usually on time. I was surprised that he should say such a thing. Now where do we use must? To express the conclusion that something is certain or highly probable. In that time, we have to use must. And Mary must have a problem. She keeps crying. There's the doorbell. It must be Roger. So, affirmative sentence, we can use must to say what is necessary, and to give strong advice and order, we have to use must. For example, you really must stop smoking. You must be here before 8 o'clock tomorrow. I hope you understand all these things very clearly. If you have any problem, please do comment in the comment section. I definitely reply them. And no more today. Thank you for listening and bye bye.